Welcome to episode 247 of Friars on the Farm. I'm Donovan, and with me is Roy.
Oh, how sweet it is, Donovan.
It's pretty sweepy around here. I
About
uh
freaking time.
I I I really didn't think it was it almost didn't happen. And as much as no one else has control over the outcome of the game other than the players, when I saw AJ Cassavell tweet out someone left, the press box next to where he normally sits was left the broom, which is
Oh,
probably the
yeah.
probably the night crew. It happens a lot in my restaurant. The night crew just leaves a broom there. Um, he's like, oh, is this could this happen? And he says it's, the Padres go for the first sweep of the season. And I quote tweeted and said, jinxed.
Oh, I guarantee you that broom was left there for a reason. I don't know whether it was maybe somebody on the A's side, a journalist that, because I'm sure when you're in that job, you got friends all over the
Yeah.
place. Every
Yeah.
stop, the people, the beat reporters and all that stuff. I bet that was somebody that left that broom there. But yeah, Padres finally pull off their first sweep of the season, sweeping the A's. And I mean, what an incredible ending. And the walk-off home run from Jackson Merrill. That was peak right there.
It was so peak. And I got home around 3:30. We were watching the game. Liddy turned the game off because they'd gone above, and then I got home and Solano hit the tying home run. And we're so PTSD Padre fans that we weren't watching the game, but I was kind of watching on my phone, and I'm like, Jackson Merrill madness, and Liddy's like, what? Did he get a hit? I'm like, Merrill madness. She's like, no, what? And like we turn it on, there it happened.
Nice.
It's and so he is the youngest player since the expansion or since 1969, since the beginning of the Padres' existence, to have a multi-hit home run game and one of those home runs be a walk-off.
Yeah, I saw that.
I keep thinking, my mindset is like, oh, that's been done before. What that hasn't been done before. Like he keeps breaking these rules of young players, and I'm like, God dang it, like that has to have been done before.
It's a very specific set of circumstances. The
Yeah.
two home runs in a game, one of them being a walk-off home run. I mean, there are a lot of guys that play their whole career and they never have a walk-off home run, and it's a rare thing. So I'm not surprised that he's the youngest to have that specific set. Yeah, it happens. I'm not surprised. But after the game, the interviews that he was given,
Yeah.
he wasn't like, me. It's all about the team.
Yeah.
It's like tomorrow it's going to be somebody else that does it. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's such a team player that it's almost like he doesn't want the spotlight on him.
Yeah.
He wants the spotlight on the other
On the
what
team.
25, 26 guys on the roster. But he's so okay. He's not getting a lot of talk in the rookie of the year discussions yet.
No.
I feel like it's going to come as the season goes along because we've followed the guy throughout these years. We know that he's consistent. He's a grinder. He's just now seems to start be getting comfortable in the majors. So he's becoming better at center field. We're starting to see a few more of those plays at the very fringe that he might not have been making a month
Right.
ago.
Right.
And in the box, he even said in an interview earlier this week that he's becoming more comfortable with velocity. And he was in there facing Mason Miller, who throws 103, and he wasn't going up there looking for a breaking ball. He just happened to get one breaking ball first pitch. But after the game with MLB Network, they were asking him. He was like, "No, I was sitting dead red. I'm sitting fastball and adjusting off of that." And so to sit on 103, and then you get what was that, like 83 mile an hour curveball or slider or whatever it was that he hit
I
out?
thought it was 91, but that's if you're sitting for 100, that's like on a tee. That's like a watermelon coming in.
Right, but how do you not roll over on that? How are you
Right.
not way out in front? And he was able to just drop the head down and launch it. And so as the season goes by, I think he's only going to become more consistent and better as the season goes along, as long as his body can, hold up for the full season. So I think it's great that they're giving him a week off. They're letting Azokar get that day in center field. But I mean, the dude is he's a stud. He's consistent. He's got it.
he is he is he's not overachieving. He is going far and beyond expectations. And you know, you start talking about the word truly special player. I mean, not only to become one of the youngest players to come out of, not even a half season in AA, and then make the squad, change positions and do fairly well and continue to improve. Like he didn't go like, oh, he dropped that ball. Well, he's new with the, oh, he didn't get that ball. He's new at the position. He has not typically failed yet in center field and just took to it like a duck in water, and then to consistently hit from right out the gate. And there was a small period of 2 weeks. I think he went 0 for 21 or like 1 for 21. He was mired in a little bit of a muck, and more of those will come. But to make those adjustments really quick and to continue to hit and not, strike out a ton or not really get deeper in a rut by trying to change things. I think I heard some of this weekend where, players like Fernando Tatis Jr. were not getting the results that they thought early on in the season. So they start changing things. And that in baseball, and they should know that, is once you start to change things mid-season is when you get really into trouble, because that's where you get lost and when you can truly tweet like, yeah, that guy is lost at the plate.
Right. Yeah. So you mentioned Tatis, and he's all of a sudden gone on a tear. His hit streak was broken last night, but what, 16 straight games, and he's just hitting laser beams all over the
Yeah.
place. And so what he seems to have done is just kind of simplify. And there was a quote where he said that he's not trying to be a home run hitter, he's trying to be a good hitter with power. And when you're hitting, I mean, he's hitting those laser beams that are wall
Yeah.
scrapers that I swear that thing's not getting more than 12 feet off the ground. It's just,
Right.
and next thing you know, it's over the fence. But so yesterday's game, Merrill had 2 home runs. Donovan Solano also had 2 home runs. And I just wanted to point out, like, when the Padres signed him as a minor league free agent, what was that? A few weeks into the season, I was like, okay, maybe he'll kick around. Not expecting much. I mean, like Ruben
Bench
Odor
bat,
last
right?
year,
Right.
kind of every once in a while does something good. He's batting 313 with a 385 on base, and he's slugging 463.
Yeah.
I mean, Donnie Barrels is just absolutely raking so far this year. I don't expect that to continue, but I mean, it's consistent at bats. It's tough at bats. And that's the back end of the order is what got all the scoring done yesterday.
Yeah.
And so Tatis has an off day. You need guys to pick him up. Manny, need him to get going. Bogarts, he's on the bench for a while. Cronenworth has been pretty good, pretty consistent, but he's not caught on fire. And now Profar tweaked his knee. He's out. He was out yesterday, getting a couple days off. Hopefully he's back tomorrow, healthy, ready to rock. But Donovan Solano has come in. He's been a revelation.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
having Jackson Merrill being as consistent as he is at the back end, there are no weak spots in the lineup when those guys are doing what they're doing.
Absolutely. And, I think Merrill even said it. It's like, hey, it was my day today. It's going to be someone else's day tomorrow. And that's that team concept of, it's the mindset of like, I don't have to do everything. And, with such a young player to have such a mature mindset, going to his first pro season, knowing that the down are, it's not going to be his day tomorrow, but it'll be someone else's. And that's okay. Like, it's going to be, there's 26 guys on this team, and everyone's going to have their day, and it's just putting those days together where you get these wins and you get on a little bit of a roll. We're going into New York with the Mets, and God, they're just playing like crap, and let's keep that going on. Let's keep that going. Let's keep burying teams that we should be beating, and see where we go from there. Because several weeks back, I think Woods tweeted something. What do you think this team is? And it was after kind of a tough skid. I said 5 games above or below. We have not quite been 5 below 500, and we have not quite got to 5 above 500. I think 5 above 500 gets us into the playoffs with room to spare.
Well, if this team can go on a run and win, 7 or 8 in a row, you'd win 10, 12 out of 13 kind of thing, then that's when you'll start see them getting over that hump. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I'd love to see it.
Hell, I'd like to see 8 out of 13. It's going to be tough going after the Mets. Did they go straight to Philly after the Mets?
I believe so.
but that's going to be a tough series. And I don't want to, you're going to hear this. It's the true test of what this team is. And they're playing really well now, but it's a true test. I don't see it that way. I just see it as go in there and compete. And if you go in there and compete, you can win ball games. Hopefully some of the pitching lines up. Hope some of the bats show up. But it's going to be an interesting road series for these guys.
Yeah, Darnay Tripp said something the other day, and it got me. So last year we kept saying, "Oh, it's still early. It's still early,"
Right.
and we learned our lesson. Now I'm no longer saying those words, and now as we're this far into the season, what 60 some games into the season, um, you're looking at series like, okay, they should win against that team. That's going to be tough, and it's kind of upside down. I mean, they played well against the Dodgers. They played well
Right.
against the Braves. They got swept by the Rockies. They got swept by the Angels. So I'm no longer looking at a series going, oh, they should walk all over that team, because
Right.
that's not this Padres team right
Right.
now. And that's also not how baseball works, unfortunately.
Yeah, and it's kind of weird how we play up to the competition, we play down to the competition. And somewhere in the middle of there, we're going to find who we truly are. I don't even know what that means, but you're right. As long as we just keep continuing to compete and playing the tough teams tough, who knows what's going to happen. And, but if we can come away from this little road trip, a 500 or plus road trip, we're going to be in a good position.
So before we move on to MILB news, I have a story to share with you from what happened to me on Friday.
All right.
So we got the invite to go to Padres batting practice. So go to batting practice. I'm over by my normal seats, and I happened to see that Adam Mazur came out through a bullpen. So I got a couple clips of that. That was cool.
We posted it
And
on.
then
I posted it on the Friars on the Farm. Yeah.
yeah, and so I watched, and he was talking to Ruben Niebla, and he was showing him how he grips his different pitches. They were talking about his curveball release and what kind of feel he's going for at the top. And that was all really cool stuff to watch. I wish I could have heard what they were saying, but anyway. So have you been to Padres batting practice the last couple of years?
No.
So they have these balls with gold laces, with a gold thread. And if you
Okay.
get a ball with gold thread, you can take that ball down into the team store and exchange it for a brand new jersey. You take your pick, any
Really?
jersey. If you want, it's the replica air quotes jersey. So it's not the whatever $350 one, but it's like
Right.
a $200 jersey.
Yeah.
So I'm out there, and Azokar flips a ball out. I catch it. I put it in my bag. I'm like, okay, I've got a ball. It's a regular ball. So I think, okay, I've got a ball that I'll hang on to. And there's a kid that's being good
Right.
near me during the game. I'll flip it to him, kind of thing. And so a little later on, there's the pitchers are all lined up out there, and Matt Waldron turns around, throws a ball out, and there's these kids in front of me, and they all have their gloves sticking up. The ball goes right over the glove, and I catch it. And I take it and I flip it to the girl. The girl's standing in front of me. She turns around with her glove out. I flip it. It lands in her glove, and I see the gold laces. And my
Oh,
jaw drops, and her jaw dropped. And nobody knew what to say. And she went off. And I was talking to the guys around me. We're like, that's just good karma.
yeah.
Karma, good things are
Yeah.
going to happen. It's all good. Well, a few minutes later, she came walking back over with her dad. And apparently a year ago, they had gotten a gold lace ball. And so they gave the ball back to me. So it was really cool. I took a picture with them, and I got the dad's number, and we're friends now. And that's all great. And so I take a picture of the ball, and Angela was out of town. So I sent the picture to Angela, my wife. And so she calls me. And as I'm answering the phone, here comes Stephen Kolick jogging up the steps, and he flips me a ball. It's another gold lace ball. So then I've got two of them, two gold lace balls in my hand. So
Oh
I
my
gave
God.
I know, right? So I gave the second ball to this family that was a couple rows behind. I've seen them. They sit in our section, super nice people. So I was able to give them a little blessing, and we got ourselves a little blessing from the baseball gods. I let Angela pick out what jersey we got. So I went down and picked it up, and it was just an amazing day. And then after that, while the Diamondbacks were doing their batting practice, I caught a ball off Christian Walker on the fly. First time I've caught one on the fly
On
in
the
batting
fly.
practice. Yeah.
Nice.
I've gotten a ball that rattles around, whatever, but to catch one actually right off his bat, I
Right.
don't know, a little pat on the
Everyone,
back to me.
For a golfer, that's not a bad catch.
Yeah.
Well, that, and that's the karma. That's the things. It's funny. You're around the game so much because you do have the season tickets. You do have that special access. Not everyone does, and passing around that little bit of love, I think shows a maturity, and it's a fun thing. Like for the girl, even though she got one before, like to give the, what was she, 10, 11 years old? Like
A few years older than that, but yeah.
okay, that's so much. She's gonna remember that. You know what I mean? So when she grows up and brings her kids to a ball game, like she's gonna remember stuff like that. I'm older. I've gotten plenty of balls. Let's give it to the next kid. Let's pass that love on. Let's share the joy of the game, even if it is just a ball that's been tossed back into the crowd. That's really cool. I love that thing, man. And the 2 minor league baseballs that I have that I got from the last time I went up to Lake Elsinore. I have one in my office, and one of the women in my community that is a big Padre fan, and we talk Padres all. We lament. I talk her husband off the cliff sometimes. I'm like, hey, I got a ball for your son, because occasionally she'll bring her boy to work. I'm like, but I'm gonna wait till he shows up, and I'm gonna give it to him, and he has to share it with his sister, because they're almost close to the same age, and they're both big Padre fans. So passing along that stuff, like we're adults, it's neat to have a souvenir. For me, I'm not a big souvenir guy. I gave away my Theo and Joe Musgrove bobblehead doll that we got because we got the tickets for free. Passing that on to someone, that would really, really, really appreciate it. I love that about baseball, and I love that about you, man. Appreciate that.
Well, and making a couple of connections there, that was cool too. So the father and the daughter, so getting to meet them, and I know I've seen her before. For batting practice, they'll come out into that section because we're in left field, and then the family behind us, like I'd seen them, but I'd never talked to them before. And so they were the ones that I was talking to about karma and all of that. So, but now I know their names, and we've had that interaction. So it's making connections and branch. It was a wonderful experience at the ballpark before the game even started. They wound up winning that game. It was an exciting game, but I could have left before the game even started, and I would have had a great time.
I love that, making connections. You make connections with baseball memorabilia. I'll just go up to a complete stranger that I see a situation, and I'll just start talking. Oh yeah, I just start talking to him.
Yeah, that's not me. I can't do that.
Liddy hates that about me, but that's kind of my personality. I see someone that's going on. Oh yeah, she'll say like, "Don't do it." But they don't care, Donovan. They don't care. Hey, blah, 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 blah. Oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. It's just. Anyways, I digress. Great story. Let's get on to some moves. You made some moves. Now we have some moves in the system. So Javian Sandridge has been promoted to AAA El Paso. The Southpaw went 3-3 with a 3.38 ERA and 21 outings for the Missions. This will be his first time playing in AAA. So he came over in a trade, and we picked him up as a free agent. Yeah.
Oh, now you're putting me on the spot. I'll find it. But he's a lefty with absolutely electric stuff.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited to see what happens. I want to say he was with the Cubs organization. They let him go.
We were thinking are you thinking of Estrada? Estrada was with the Cubs, and they released him.
So Sandridge was a free agent.
Okay.
He was in the Reds organization. Right. Okay. He's the guy that got drafted by, I think it was the Orioles. And then 2020 COVID happened, and he was able to use that weird rule. There was a little loophole in the rule that allowed him to go back to college.
Yeah.
And so he went back to college, got his amateur status, pitched in college again, and then he got drafted by the Reds and came back a different person, with crazy strikeout numbers, but also could walk the whole field, and now it seems like the walks have gone down. I mean, he still walks a fair amount of guys, but he's got the absolute filthy, nasty stuff. Left-hander, throws upper 90s with a slider that breaks this far. So I think they're giving him a little test in El Paso, kind of like what they did with Adam Mazur. And so if he does well for half dozen games or so, we might see him get called up.
Yeah, and he's done really, like it shows right there, 3-3 with the 3.38 ERA in a pitcher's league in San Antonio. But another arm that's just stocked away and developing and getting better. And here's another one, friend of the podcast, Cole Paplum, now represents the corresponding move as he returns to the mission after being injured. The right-hander was injured during an exhibition game against Saltillo. He was rehabbing ACL and Fort Wayne since May. The 22-year-old 10th rounder, Jackson Smelts, finally healthy, joins the Storm. So one goes up. Let the train keep going.
I think that exhibition game against Saltillo was right before the season started.
Okay.
They had that exhibition game at the Wolf against a Mexican league team.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, but glad to see he's back because last year he kind of made a name for himself. And then he went to the Arizona Fall League, pitched really well, and kind of put his name on the map. All right, so big one of the MILB Player of the Week. Spit it out, Roy. Nate Mondou got the MILB Player of the Week for the Pacific Coast League, as awarded by MILB.com. They're right up here. Nate Mondou is a grinder. The 8-year pro vet has suited up for 3 different organizations since being selected by the Athletics in the 13th round of the 2016 draft. But while the threads have changed over the years, his mentality has not. Grind every at-bat, every game, and do it for your teammates. Across parts of 8 seasons in the minors, there was arguably never a week that encompassed this mindset more than the one he's coming off of now with the Chihuahuas. Mondou was the minor league player of the week in the Pacific Coast League after going 9 for 20 with 6 extra base hits, hitting safely in all 5 games, posting a 1.40 OPS between June 3rd through 9th for AAA El Paso. The infielder also extended his season-best hitting streak to 12 games on Tuesday and is batting .333 with 8 extra base hits and 12 RBIs during this span. So he's a grinder. He plays wherever you need him to play, does everything pretty well. No one thing jumps off the board, kind of a Matthew Batten type, if you will, but a spark plug, high energy kind of a guy.
He's always seems to be in the middle of all the action there in El Paso. And Mondou, I really want to look up the name Mondou because, like, I always saw the name Mondou. I was thinking maybe he's of African descent, but he's a white guy.
I don't know his background.
Is it right? But I mean, is Mondou, is that French? It's
sounds French.
Yeah. But yeah, that's fantastic. There hasn't been a lot of players, and there's just so much action going on in the PCL where I'm surprised. I think he might have been the first Chihuahua to be Player of the Week this year.
I believe you are correct. He was born in Tacoma, Washington.
Okay. All right, so let's move on to the weirdest MILB stats. So this is from the plays of May in the minor leagues, the wild and wacky during the last month in the minors. This is from old time friend of the podcast, Benjamin Hill. One of the stories in here was the story of the trade that the trade for. Oh my God, I'm drawing a blank for Luis Arraez when they took what's his name off second base. God, why am I blanking? So you get traded out of the system. Other friend of the podcast. Edit.
Martorella.
Thank you, Nathan Martorella.
Yeah,
that was a part of the stories, but we're not going to read that one because we've already been down that road. Okay, so hence his ERA went down. Springfield Cardinals right-hander Tink Hence suffered through a rough outing on May 12th, allowing 9 runs over 3 1/3 innings of work against the Northwest Arkansas Naturals. However, thanks to 3 Springfield error, one committed by Hence himself, none of the runs were earned.
Oh my God!
The last time a minor league pitcher allowed more unearned runs in a game was Sugarland's Cooper Hummel had a particularly rough outing on May 9th when he came in from left field to pitch the 8th inning. And that was the end of the story. So that was the last time a minor league pitcher allowed more runs in a game. Sugarland's Cooper Hummel had a particularly rough outing on May 9th when came in from left field to pitch the 8th inning of a game. His team was losing to Oklahoma City 11-0. Hummel allowed 9 runs on 7 hits and 3 walks over 2/3 of an inning, and then swapped spots with first baseman Luke Berryhill, who closed out the game for the final score of 22-3.
So 9 runs surrendered, all unearned.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing that we've seen happen in the ACL
Yep.
and the
DSL, the
yeah,
TSL.
yeah, like 11 runs in an inning, and it's, oh, here's an error and a catcher's interference and a passed ball and everything but hits.
Kind of like that's even worse than rec league. All
Right.
right, you want to take the next one?
All right, so youth versus experience. May 11th's tilt between the Portland Sea Dogs and visiting Binghamton Rumble Ponies featured a matchup for the ages. Wyatt Young versus Wyatt Olds. Former is Binghamton's second baseman, the latter a righty reliever for Portland. Young came to bat with 2 outs and the bases loaded in the 5th inning, and Olds struck him out. For those wondering, Olds is really the younger of the two Wyatts, but only by 4 months. So Wyatt Young versus Wyatt Olds. I That's the kind of thing that needs to go in El Paso Tim's book about crazy things that happen in the minor
Right.
leagues.
And this is what I love about Benjamin Hill. He finds the wild and wacky. So real quick, let's go back to the last time a minor league pitcher allowed more earned runs in a game was August 20th, 2019, when Richmond's Logan Webb allowed 10 against Harrisburg at the major league level. One has to go back all the way to June 5th. 1989, when the Yankees' Andy Hawkins yielded 10 unearned runs over 2 1/3 innings against Baltimore. So I cut and pasting. I kind of cut and paste in the middle of that and kind of screwed up that whole story.
I feel like that Andy Hawkins game has come up before. I feel like that's one of those unusual ones that, like, every couple of years we have to bring that up because of some strange statistical anomaly.
Former Padre Andy Hawkins.
That's right. All right, so let's just roll right into the affiliate rundown.
Yeah.
So let's start off in the ACL with painting the corners. Last Wednesday, righty Johan Moreno had his best stateside outing. The 21-year-old righty, who came over to the U.S. late last summer after starting his first professional year in the DSL, tossed 4 shutout innings and struck out a stateside high of 4. Saturday, righty Jackson Smeltz, who we now know is in Lake Elsinore.
Absolutely.
He loaded the bases but struck out the side in his second professional inning. The 25-year-old, who the Padres drafted in the 10th round in 2022 while he was recovering from Tommy John surgery, has continued to deal with injuries since joining the organization, but has shown a big fastball when healthy. Lefty Ruben Salinas continues to work multiple times a week in his rehab assignment. After 2 off days, the 21-year-old gave up 1 earned run over 1.1 innings as he continues to stretch out. So Jackson Smeltz, he's one of these people that, like, high school pitcher drafted, and there's a little bit of fizz, little buzz, like,
right.
And then you don't hear anything from him because he's been on the trainer's table for a year and a half.
And then you turn around and you're 25 years old and you haven't even left the complex. And that just goes to show you how many guys are in professional baseball that never even see an affiliate, for other reasons or not. But yeah, it's good to see him. And it's good. I'll see him this weekend. I'll be up there this weekend.
Correction, he was drafted out of Purdue University. He's not a high school arm, but anyway.
Man, you looked that stuff up pretty quick.
I try. I want to be factually correct.
Right. A batting around Wednesday switch hitting catcher Colton Vincent, who has also seen time at both outfield corner positions this year, connected on 2 doubles and now has a 936 OPS in 10 games in the desert. This year, he had brief stints with both Lake Elsinore and Fort Wayne, where he also hit well in limited action. Thursday, B.Y. Choi continues to impress in the complex league, and the 22-year-old infielder figures to be a top candidate to move to the affiliate after the ACL season. The lefty switch hitting shortstop is batting .282 with an .840, .874 OPS and 71 at-bats in his second season in the desert. Then Saturday, Addison Kopech returned to action at DH for the first time since injuring his leg May 23rd and picked up right where he left off. The 22-year-old had a pair of hits, pushing his average to .426 on the year. If he shows he's healthy, it's only a matter of time before he heads out to an affiliate. Now, real quick, talking about making errors, last episode, I had said Sam Whiting was an undrafted free agent. He was drafted in the 16th round. I know that because his mom went on Instagram, bless her heart, and said, hey, he was drafted in the 16th round. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. Bad prep, Mom. I'm sorry, but I made it right. And thank you for correcting me.
Thank you for listening, Mama Whiting.
Absolutely.
So
I'm going to go talk to your son this weekend.
Yeah, there you go. So Colton Vincent and Addison Kopach, they're both catchers, and it's got to be tough to be a catcher in the Padres organization when your name isn't Ethan Salas or
Right.
JD Gonzalez or Jonathan Villar, Brandon Valenzuela. The organization's pretty stacked, so those guys have got to fight pretty hard to make their way out to an affiliate.
Yeah. And you need catches in the ACL, so they're not going to let him. Lamar King Jr. is there in the ACL as well, where he's slowly coming about.
Yeah, about time. So moving on to Lake Elsinore. Painting the corners on Friday, Eric Yost turned in an excellent outing and was in a position to earn the win before the game got away. The former Northeastern hurler worked a season high 6.1 innings and allowed just 1 run on 4 hits. He walked 1 and struck out a career high 9 batters. 21-year-old started the season in the Storm bullpen before stepping into the rotation. He struggled with consistency this season, but has struck out 31 batters over his last 28 and 2/3 innings. And on Saturday, Isaiah Lowe matched the career high 6 1/3 1-run innings he posted last outing while striking out 8. The righty, who had a hiccup 2 weeks back, we all get the hiccups from time to time,
Yeah.
turned in 4 dominant performances since his 21st birthday last month, giving up just 3 earned runs over 22 and 2/3 innings with a stellar 31-4 strikeout to walk ratio. That's 10 times pi.
Yeah.
The Padres' 11th round pick out of high school in 2022 dealt with shoulder issues much of last year, but has the repertoire and physicality to profile as a big league starter as he advances through the system. I haven't had a chance to like see Isaiah Lowe like up close to walk by him, but in pictures he looks like a large human.
He's a man. He's got a trunk too. He's got that lower half that you want to see in a pitcher, and fairly young, pretty young kid there at 21. He does profile physically as a pitcher, and if he can keep staying healthy and keep working the count, or not working the count, developing, he can do it. I was there for the hiccup. I was like, hell yeah, let's go. Isaiah Lowe. Ooh, bad first inning, like really bad first inning, and then he got nubbed in the second, and I'm like, just turned into a nightmare. Since then, he has absolutely tore it up, and I don't know who I'm going to see this Saturday, but I hope it's Isaiah.
Well, I hope you don't jinx him like last time. Jeez.
No,
but what you were talking about his trunk, his physique.
Yeah.
Now that I've been to spring training a bunch of times and I like to go hang out over on the minor league side, you really do kind of see that. You see somebody, you see the group, the guys in batting cage, and you just see numbers on the back. You might not see their names, especially if it's the AAA group, but the guys that are in the majors or are close, like you can tell, like there's a different build that guys get once they get to that level. There's a different kind of strength it takes to be able to succeed at that level. It takes a long time for guys to work that up.
Yeah, absolutely. And he has it at a fairly young age. All right, ready to move on to On the Screws? On the Screws. Saturday, J.D. Gonzalez and Chase Valentine combined to go 4 for 5, and each had a sacrifice fly. Gonzalez has been making better contact and more frequent contact over the last 2 weeks. The lefty hitting catcher has hit in 4 straight and has struck out just 4 times and 29 trips to the plate. As one of the youngest players in the league, he's starting to figure things out. After sitting Friday night, shortstop Leodalis de Vries had a double and a walk and stole his 3rd base of the season. He's now collected a 2-bagger in 3 games this series. He struck out just 5 times in 44 plate appearances. And I don't have it on here, but last night I turned on the game after watching the Missions game, and it was already like 9-0 in the 2nd inning. They scored, I think, 9 runs in the first or 6 runs in the first. It ended up being a laugher.
It was 19-0 that they beat the Stockton Ports.
And so I watched most of that game. Everyone was, it was like, God, wow, someone's on fire. Everyone was on fire. Every time they swung a bat, they were hitting the ball hard. And as I turn off the game, I just see the bullpen. I'm like, God, is that Dylan Hoffman? So Dylan Hoffman came in. I think he came in pretty early in the game, but he came into hell's bells.
Nice. Oh, that's awesome.
Which it's minor league baseball, so it's not a big deal, and it's a blowout. So, I mean, I guess that's fine. But I mean, I was kind of like, is that not cool?
That's fun. It's fun. They're not trying to turn him into a pitcher. It's the
Right.
one time he's coming in to finish out a game. Because he pitched the last inning of the game.
Yeah.
And he
Okay.
got I think he got 3 outs on 5 pitches, something like
Yeah.
that. But it's because he was lobbing
Lobbing it in there.
not even batting practice fastballs. He was just lobbing it over the plate, and they're hitting weak fly balls out to, can of corn catches in the outfield. But oh my, I didn't hear about the Hells Bills part. That's great. So Leo de Vries, so he had a double and a walk. Seems like
Yeah.
he's hitting a double in just about every game these days. So he still has yet to hit his first home run as a pro. So he's got 23 hits on the season. 11 of them are doubles and one of them's a triple. So he's racking up the extra base hits. He's spraying line drives all over the
Yeah.
place. Just hasn't gotten into one to get over the fence. If I'm Leo de Vries, I'm like, when is this going to happen? When am I going to get mine?
Yeah. To kind of go back to the position player, and it'll be a little bit more here in batting around. I remember when back long time ago, back when friend of the podcast and West Coast scouting supervisor Josh Emmerich was in the Giants organization, and me and his stepdad would go out and practice. We'd throw BP to each other. We'd just do a practice, and he was home, and we always told him like, "Hey, you can come out and hit with us or do whatever." He's like, "No, you guys throw too slow. Like you need." There's a reason why that L screen, and if anyone ever goes to batting practice, the L screen is so close, and they're firing it in there. It's because that's going to give them 90 miles an hour at least. They have to have that to get the timing. So when the guy comes up there and he's just thumbing it up there, that's why the knuckleball, not only is it because it's hard to pick up, but it's slow. So you get a slow pitch, and these guys are used to seeing velocity. They roll over more than anything.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny seeing those awkward swings, and they're just lobbing it up there, and us casual fans are like, why aren't they hitting this to the moon? There's a reason
I
for
can
it.
totally hit that. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, our batting around note here on that note, Jacob Campbell, Dylan Hoffman, and Chase Valentine have combined for 4 innings of shutout work to save the pitching staff at various points in the year. And that's just part of minor league baseball. Blowouts happen, and the coach is going to just says, you know what, we got to wear this one. So Chase, go out there, throw a couple innings, see what you can do,
And one more kind of tangent on the same line. One of those crazy stories that didn't put in the agenda was a position player. I think he's for the River Cats. He has 2 wins as a position player where he just kind of came in and mopped up a game, and they ended up scoring a bunch of runs, and he got 2 wins.
Go figure. All right, so let's move over to Fort Wayne. Painting the corners. John Conniff was in Fort Wayne this week, and you know what? I'm a little bit disappointed. I didn't see the food tweets as much this week as we usually do when John Conniff is on site. Usually he's showing us what he's having for breakfast, where he went out to dinner. Because if you want to know the good places to eat in one of the affiliate places, hit up John Conniff. He knows all the spots. So on Thursday, lefty Fernando Sanchez made his debut with the Tin Caps. Recent call-up from Single A Lake Elsinore, pitched 3 1/3 innings, allowed 4 earned runs, and struck out 4. So congratulations, making your high A debut and right into the frying pan.
Yeah.
Then on Friday, Henry Baez set the tone with 6 strikeouts and a sole run allowed in 5 innings. Quote, "We're as good as our starting pitching is each and every game," said Fort Wayne manager Mike Daly. Henry came out there with a lot of intent from the beginning, and it was a solid outing by him. He came out there with a lot of intent and was able to mix his pitches very well. Baez's fastball was up to 97 in the early going, and he was in and around the strike zone more than he has been in many of his outings this season. He walked a pair, struck out 6, and landed 52 of 86 pitches for strikes. So he's a little bit of a control question mark, but when he's around the zone, he can be effective. Then on Tuesday, Emmanuel Pinales threw 7 quality innings. Pinales was through 6 2/3 scoreless until captain's third baseman Jose Devers, who's the Guardians number 19 prospect. Any relation to Red Sox Devers?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I should just keep reading. He hit an 0-2 pitch over the left center field fence. He's cousin of Rafael Devers Pinales, 23. He's cousin of Rafael Devers. Period right there. Pinales, 23, retired the next batter to conclude his second 7-inning start of the season. All said, he allowed a total of 4 hits and no walks while striking out 5 batters using 90 pitches. I like the efficiency.
Yeah.
62 strikes. For the year, Pinales, a native of the Dominican Republic, ranks 3rd in the High A Midwest League in ERA, 2.79, 4th in WHIP, 0.99, under 1 is excellent,
Yeah.
and 7th in strikeouts with 55. The league is only hitting 177 against him. That's the lowest batting average against among all qualified pitchers by 0.28 points.
He's having one of those breakout seasons, and I love that about the minor league system, or all minor league systems, but particularly with the Padres. Every year you had those handful of guys that just like, where did he come from? You know, he was a kid that last year didn't get a lot of innings, so they sent him to the Arizona Fall League, and you're like, who's Emmanuel? Who's that kid? Whoa, hold on, what's he doing? He put a name, he made a name for himself along with Braden Nett in the Arizona Fall League, and that's transferred to this season where he's really picking it up and having a breakout season, and particularly doing that in High A is really impressive.
Well, speaking of breakout seasons, yesterday
yeah.
Jagger Haynes struck out a career high 11 batters over 6 2/3 innings. In fact, the 21-year-old left-hander didn't even allow a hit through 6 innings. The 11 strikeouts for Haynes marked the most by a tin cap this season and the most since left-hander Austin Krob, number 9 Padres prospect, struck out 11 last year on September 2nd at Parkview Field against the South Bend Cubs. Since Fort Wayne moved up to the High A level in 2021, Haynes is just the 5th tin caps pitcher to strike out more than 10 batters in a game, joining lefties Ethan Elliott, Robert Gasser, Jackson Wolf, and Krob. Gasser and Wolf have gone on to appear in the show. And Jagger Haynes was all of a sudden getting love all over the place yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah.
People are starting
MLB
to take
Pipeline,
notice.
MILB. We've got to come up with some kind of Rolling Stones reference, because Jagger, I mean, he's got moves like Jagger is a little bit dated.
Well, and Mad Friars, they've just put out their interview with him. So they couldn't have had better timing. They had it. So again, if you don't subscribe to Mad Friars, shame on you, because their interview with him was really good, talking about how he's grown, how he's learned, you know, the patience he's had to have through his Tommy John recovery. Just a great story, and it's so great to see him finally hitting his stride. Last year he pitched a fair amount, but he was going through it last year.
Yeah.
This year he finally kind of gotten comfortable, and now he's started to take off.
You know, I remember seeing him. He was injured last year in Lake Elsinore, and just aw shucks demeanor, just really, really friendly, not down. I saw him again during fantasy camp, and I think I posted a picture of him with me, my fat old self. Once again, just like upbeat, like, hey, how's it going? Like comfortable with where he was at. For me, as someone that was injured that early in my career, I would be like, hey, yeah, no pictures. Yeah, no, I would just avoid people because I need to perform. But that makeup that he has really helped him persevere. And even with the early struggles in the season, like he was walking guys, and it was getting ugly. We were talking a little bit about it here on the podcast. But dang, the kid has turned a corner and he has shot off like a rocket. And I think he's going to start shooting up some prospect lists here at the end of this year.
You know, in the off season, when we get a chance to talk to somebody on the player development side, I'd like to ask the questions about on the rehab supporting, because we know that there's all this work to support the body,
right?
You know, the workouts, all the routines that they have, but what are they doing to support the mental, the emotional side of it? Because we've heard that from multiple people that going through something like Tommy John, the hardest part is the mental part of it, that you want to be out there competing. You feel like you're losing time. You question, you know, am I going to be able to do this once I'm strong again? Am I still going to have it?
Yeah. Well, and when they rehab at the complex, they're all the rehab guys, you know, so they're all going through the same thing. So they can support each other, but it's not like they're like experienced with the injury. So it's kind of almost a blind leading the blind a little bit. I wonder if they do have someone come in, or maybe even someone in the organization that's there during the season, like, hey, you know, I know what you guys are going through. Stick with it. You know, maybe they have a mental strength coach, something like that. That's a very good question. We should learn more about that.
Well,
about
I
the
mean,
mental side?
we're guys. We're raised to not show our emotion, to not
Right.
talk about how we're feeling. If you have problems, you know, deal with it and figure it out, and don't cry about it. And
Right.
I mental health is something that is we speak about it quite a bit.
Yeah.
We've both had our struggles, and that's something that is part of everyday life.
Yeah.
But our culture teaches us as young kids not to talk about it.
Yeah.
And so when you're going through a prolonged adversity like that, and you're around a whole bunch of other guys who grew up same thing, you don't talk about your problems. They've got to have some sort of system to open
Yeah.
all that up, and let's talk, let's share, let's be honest about it, let's lay it all out so we can work through it.
Yeah, it's funny. When I was going through my hip replacement rehab, there were days where it's like, even though I'm getting paid, like I'm sitting with the remote, you know, still thinking in the back of my head, I'm going, I feel broken. Like I'm a broken human. I'm a broken human being right now. Will I ever be okay? And that's just some dude laying on a couch that had a surgery. When that is your career, when that is your livelihood, and you're just starting out, definitely has to be some emotional and mental struggles there. Let's write that down. Let's take a note, and we'll definitely reach out to someone, or maybe we'll even probably talk to Jagger over the off season to get his perspective on this and see what they've done. But let's move on. On the Screws Thursday, Homer Bush Jr. I think he's got 28 stolen bases now. I don't think I have it here, but he's got like almost 30 stolen bases. Walked twice and brought his on-base streak to 14 games. Left fielder Tyler Robertson walked in the 9th inning and extended his streak to 11 straight games for reaching base. Friday, with the game tied at 1 in the bottom of the 4th, Murphy connected on an RBI single to give the Fort Wayne the lead. Then he scored from first base on a Jay Brashear's 2-run double down the right field line to put the home team up 4-1. And in the 8th inning, Murphy capped off the scoring with a 2-run home run to right field. Quote, Kai has the respect of everyone in the clubhouse with how he goes about it daily. Said Daly, he's consistent. He sees the game well, anticipates, and connects with the guys. He's also has some energy on the field. Now that's Kai Murphy, son of Milwaukee Brewers coach and former Padres head coach in term, Pat Murphy. So
Right.
the kid's been around baseball. He knows what it takes.
So to answer your question about Homer Bush Jr., he has 29 stolen bases on the season. He's been caught 4 times. So that's a pretty good success rate.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely.
So now batting around, the Tin Caps have played 11 extra inning games, the most in all of minor league baseball. The Tin Caps have played 21 run games, the most among all high A clubs. Homer Bush Jr. leads the Midwest League. It says 27 stolen bases as of Friday. Now we know it's 29.
Yeah.
And Jay Bashirs leads the Tin Caps in hits with 19 and OPS of 745 since his high A debut on May 15th. So the dude got promoted from Lake Elsinore and just kept on raking,
Rakes.
just like another former Duke ball player that we knew last year, Graham Pauley. Anthony Villar has thrown out 14 runners trying to steal, second most in the Midwest League this season. Both are from the Sunshine State.
Yeah. Okay, moving on to San Antonio and painting the corners. Francisco Pena was nearly unhittable in his third relief appearance on Thursday. Pena struggled in his previous appearance and suffered his first loss of the season against Midland. He allowed 1 hit across 2 1/3 innings. Pena struck out 2 batters. Friday, Jared Kohler continues to have a breakout season. The Rutgers alum allowed 1 run on 4 hits with 1 walk and 6 innings of work. He's pitching tonight. I'm not sure what his line is tonight, but he has really turned it on this season. He struck out 7 batters along the way. In 46 innings pitched, he's punched out an even number of 46 and sports a 3.3 ERA. Carter Loewen took the mound after Kohler. He allowed 1 walk during a scoreless 7th inning appearance. The friend of the podcast has struck out 26 in 19 1/3 innings. Carter Loewen is another one of those guys it's coming back from injury, full season now under his belt, is just picked up where he left off. He was the closer for the Tin Caps season before last, before he went down with Tommy John in Double-A now, tearing it up. Watch and remember that name. He could be making his way up to El Paso here in the next year by the end of the season, I would think.
Oh, yeah, he's up there pumping gas.
Absolutely. So Tuesday, Victor Lizarraga, through the first 3 innings, allowed one base hit without allowing a run. Lizarraga had 2 strikeouts through the first 3 innings of work before running into trouble in the fifth. The righty hit a pair of batters, allowed a walk, and gave up 3 runs in his final frame. He struck out 4 in 5 innings of work. The fifth inning has routinely been the problem for Lizarraga this season. In his first 4 innings, Lizarraga has a 2.82 ERA. In the fifth and beyond, he has surrendered six runs in 5 innings, which has inflated his ERA to 3.83.
So is that fatigue working that deep into a game, or is it not understanding how to mix up your pitch mix
Right.
the second and third time through the order?
Right.
I don't want to say not understanding, but like that's a barrier that guys struggle to break through.
Yeah. And it's so young, there's plenty of time there to do it. And it could be fatigue. It could be like, I got him out on this pitch last time. I can get out again and, just leaving the ball up on the zone and getting hit. That second time through the order is the big thing. Even in the major leagues, like going through twice the order is about the best most pitchers can do, unless they're absolutely dealing. So in the minor leagues, you have to learn that because they are pitching. You're pitching against your strengths, and the hitter has the book on you. So,
Right.
it's
In
development.
A ball, you find out that the guy can't hit a hitter. Just he can hit this, he can't hit that. It's a matter of so the guy can't hit a slider. I'm gonna hit him with the slider. He's gonna swing over the top of it, strike 3. But then you get up to double A. Now that guy's stepping in the box, going, okay, last time he had me in a 2-strike count, he threw a slider, so I'm looking for it.
Yeah.
So you can't get it by him anymore.
Absolutely.
All right. So on the screws on Thursday, Marcos Castagnon collected 2 more hits for his 3rd multi-hit game in 4 June contests. The sample size is small, but the UC Santa Barbara product is hitting 353, 421, 588 this month.
Woo.
I wonder if getting hit in the face by that pitch kind of woke him up a little bit, because oftentimes guys get hit by the pitch in the face and it's a hard time stepping back in the box, and they're pulling their head, or they're blinking their eyes as the pitch is coming in. But he seems to have unlocked something.
Dude, Castagnon is hardball. He's not a dirtbag because that's Long Beach State, but he's hardball, man. He grinds out at bats. He's just one of those guys where I think he's not going to blow up in any prospect charts. He's not going to be a big name, but I think if he continues doing what he's doing, and I'm going to say this again, like that's a major leaguer right there. He can find some role, a bench role on the major league roster if he keeps going at it, because he's not hitting that great, but that's just right now. He does hit consistently, plays okay third base. Maybe doesn't have a strong arm, but like I think he's got major leaguer written in his DNA, and eventually we're going to see him in the big leagues someday.
I sure hope so. On Friday, Brandon Valenzuela hit a 3-run homer over the right field fence, his 3rd long ball of the year. And then on Tuesday, the Missions hit 4 home runs. Robert Perez Jr. hit a line drive to center field for a solo home run, his 5th homer of the year. Connor Hollis began the inning with a base hit to left field. And then after retiring the next batter, Brown allowed a 2-run homer to Brandon Valenzuela.
Yeah, baby.
His 4th long ball of the season. First baseman Robbie Tenerovich hit his 5th of the season. Then a 4th home run from the Missions regained the lead in the 7th inning. Ripken Reyes homered on the first pitch of the inning. First long ball of the year gave San Antonio a 5-4 lead. So what I was saying earlier about how you see a player out on the field and the physique just says big leaguer, Robert Perez has that kind of a build.
Yeah.
He's a big, thick guy. Like he looks just strong as an ox.
All right, so batting around. So the Missions tied their season high with 7 runs in the top of the 11th inning on Wednesday night. This was the first time the Missions have made it to 11 innings this season. Ripken Reyes finds himself at top of the leaderboard in hit by a pitch category. Reyes was hit for the 16th time in last night's game. This is last week. He currently leads all AA hitters in that category. His 16 hits by pitch is tied for second most across all of minor league baseball. Braden Ward of Hartford and Spokane, that's the Rockies AA and AAA team, is the leader with 17 and 324 career games. Reyes has been hit by a pitch 108 times.
You know how at Ohio State they've got the football helmet, and then they've got a little
Right.
decals that they put on there.
Right.
And you earn a decal for
Right.
every outstanding play or something that you do. What if there was something like that in baseball? Like Ripken, like on the side of his jersey, they put a little target
Right.
everywhere he got hit.
A little ouch, a little X or something like that.
Yeah, a little band-aid on there or something like that. All right, so let's
Oh,
head out to El Paso where we've got a doozy out here in El
woo,
Paso.
dude.
So painting the corners on Sunday, Gabe Mosier twirled another quality start. Mosier pitched 6 innings and allowed only 2 earned runs. He tied a season high with 6 strikeouts and didn't walk a batter. He's allowed only 4 earned runs in 17 and 2/3 innings over his last 3 starts. So he's a pitch to contact kind of a guy.
Yeah.
He's not a strikeout guy.
Ooh.
And so the success that he's having in El Paso, I think that's the kind of thing that could carry over to the majors. So then, I love this next part. Left-handed relievers Tom Cosgrove, Luke Westphal, and Austin Davis pitched a scoreless inning each to close the game. So right now, Yuki Matsui has been a little unreliable,
Yep.
and Wandy Peralta has been a lot unreliable. And so the Padres could use some help in the lefty category in the bullpen.
Yeah.
And Tom Cosgrove, when he went down, he was struck by that bug. But his last 9 games, 9 innings pitched, only 2 hits, 3 walks against 9 strikeouts. Opposing hitters are batting 069, 156, 172 against him. I think Cosgrove is not far from getting back up there.
Right. Absolutely. And when he went down, that whatever struggles he had with the major league team just continued because his next few outings was just giving up runs. And we know in the BCL, if you get the ball in the zone, they're going to hit it. So he's made some kind of adjustment, and that's what he went down there for, is to find the adjustment, to find the break on the sweeper. That's what got ungodly in like 28 inches. He seemed to have found it. I would, so it could be in the next few weeks where maybe a guy needs a breather. You put him on the IL, you bring up Tom and let him get some innings, just to kind of give guys a breather and a step back, kind of what Tom's doing right now in El Paso. But it's good to see him get back on track. I love that when we talked to him, he's like, there's guys way better stuff than me that made it, that never sniffed the majors, and I made it. So like that humility and that appreciation, he's going to go down there and make those adjustments. And they're hard to do. Once you've tasted the majors and you go back down to the minors, like, I kind of deserve to be here, but you tend not to maybe not do what you need to do to get back there.
It was so frustrating watching him struggle with the big league team earlier this year, because we knew how good he could be last year. And you watch the stuff, the fastball still has life. The slider seemed to have all the break, but it's just every once in a while he would throw a slider that would just hang
Flatten out
right in the middle of the zone. And big league hitters, they punish those mistakes. And he just hung a few sliders to the wrong guys. I mean, when you got guys like Max Muncy up there teeing off on you, I mean, that's what they're looking for, is that cement mixers floating up in the zone, and they start licking their chops at it. So I hope he's back soon. All right. So next on Tuesday, Southpaw Miguel Cienfuegos, who made his second AAA start. He's age 27. He earned a win, pitching 6 strong innings. Miguel Cienfuegos, the man of 100 flames. I love that name. He allowed 2 runs on 5 hits, striking out a pair without issuing a walk. That seems to be a theme among the Padres this year. They're trying to minimize the walks. The former indie ball pitcher has been a solid contributor for Fort Wayne over the past 2 years. Cienfuegos doesn't miss many bats, but he's a ground ball machine. He had a 52% ground ball rate in 46 innings with the Tin Caps and induced 8 ground balls Tuesday. So I looked him up before we started talking. Miguel Cienfuegos, he was playing in the Australian League when the Padres picked him up. He was teammates with Riley Yeatman, who's no longer with the Padres, but he was on that team. And Todd Van Steensel, one time briefly a Padres farmhand and a journeyman baseball player who's one of the more entertaining follows on Twitter.
I was going to say, and a Twitter star.
Absolutely. Love that guy.
And it seems like, and he's getting up there in age, but it seems like every offseason, like he gets picked up by some team. Hey, anyone need a righty that throws 94, throws up the numbers, and he gets a job.
Yeah. Yeah. You never know when something's going to happen.
Yeah. So we'll see. So let's move on to on the screw. So Thursday, Eddie Rosario collected 4 hits, tying a career high, as well as stole 2 bags. He has now reached base in 15 consecutive games, the third longest active streak in the PCL. Brett Sullivan hit an inside the park home run in the bottom of the 3rd inning. It was his first inside the park homer for El Paso since it was the first inside the park home run since Luis Liberato did so exactly 1 year ago, last Thursday. I just I think he's got 3 triples on the season too. Like Sully can motor when he has to.
Dude has some wheels.
Dude.
I mean, and now it helps that they play in that ballpark. It's got a huge outfield,
huge.
And also that right field, the doghouse that they have, it's got those brick wall features where you get some really weird kicks.
Yeah.
If you guys haven't watched games in El Paso, it's kind of like right field at Oracle in San Francisco, how they've got those columns. And every once in a while, you'll see a ball hit a weird corner and just take off in a weird, like what was it? Ichiro had an inside the park home run in the All-Star game there 1 year because it just hits that weird corner and takes off sideways and it's gone.
And it's not as big as, it doesn't play as big as Oracle. It plays more like Bank America, that Reds field, where it's just a bandbox and balls just bing, 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 bounce all over. So anyways, moving.
Eggy Rosario, before you move on. So Eggy's in a weird spot. So he's a third baseman primarily, plays a little bit of second base. The Padres have locked in guys all over the place. Donovan Solano, I was praising his exploits earlier. He's not going anywhere, and as long as he keeps producing good at bats, that bench role is claimed. So for a righty that plays those particular positions, I don't know when Eggy's going to get another chance, but over the last month, he's batting .342 with a .462 on base, and he's slugging .724, and he's only gotten hotter. I mean, he's slugging .895 in the last week. I don't know what it's going to take for him to get another opportunity, and there's all the trade rumors that are starting to swirl. We know the Padres are looking for another starting pitcher that could use another good bullpen, another good reliever. They're always looking for improvements. And so here you got somebody that's got enough major league experience to, you're not tossing him into the fire if somebody wanted to take a flyer on him. And he's got all the years of team control. He's not a highly touted prospect. So he's not somebody that's going to demand an extension or anything like that. But at the same time, he's hitting the absolute cover off the ball.
Yeah.
He impressed me with his defense at third base earlier this year. And the guy's got a cannon that I didn't realize he had that strong of an arm.
Yeah. And he's pretty young still. I think he's 24. So there's still team control, young and room to grow. Talking about trades for the Padres, if they're going to trade for someone, someone's going to have to go. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if that's going to be at a measure. I think this last outing for him was just a blip. I think it was. There's a lot better pitcher there than what he shows. I said that in his first start to everyone that would listen. Like, look, don't judge him on his first outing. Like, it could be bad, but even if it's good, like, don't, there's time to develop. He needs to develop. He was just starting to get some of that adversity in AAA. Then he gets still, we talked about maybe later on in the season after he does learn a little bit more pitch control in the AAA, pitching on the moon. That is, I don't know what the Padres have or what they're willing to give to get what they actually need. There's probably another starter.
Well, they were able to pick up Arise. They were able to go out there and pick up Dylan Cease, and both of those moves, those are both guys with team control beyond this year, and they didn't have to give up any of their top 5 prospects. It emptied the AA roster for sure.
Right.
But still, they didn't have to get rid of De Vries, Salas, Lesko, Snelling, Major. Those guys all stuck. And whoever they're going to be bringing in between now and the deadline, I don't think they're going to have the same kind of all-star caliber level. I don't foresee that.
Right.
Who knows? You never know what Preller's going to do, but I think they're looking more for innings eating, middle of the order kind of pitcher. And relievers don't command that kind of prospect capital unless you're talking about a Josh Hader kind of a trade.
Right. Or, JV and Sanders that can come up, or someone from
Right.
AAA that can come up and like, hey, let's see what you got.
That's what we keep thinking, but then it never seems to work out that way.
What did I see you tweet earlier? Tim Hill got released by the Rockies.
He got designated for assignment by the White Sox.
Oh, the White Sox. Do not bring him home.
I said, that's what I said, bring him home with a question mark. And I should have started a poll because the responses to that are like 95% negative. And then every once in a while, there's like, oh yeah, bring him home. Yeah, I liked him. But the people that liked him, I don't think they were watching all that close the last couple of years. His last year in a Padres uniform did not go all that well.
Although I did appreciate every time they'd had an event where the Padres were involved, he was there.
He seemed to absolutely love San Diego, being part of the community. He fit in well with the team, even though he's a very odd duck. And there's so much about him that he doesn't look like a baseball player when he's walking around on the field. I don't know. Just the way that he moves and the way that he is. He's got a vibe about him that doesn't scream out, meathead athlete. But dude seems like a really good dude, and he fit in well here.
He looks like a well-respected guy from Poway.
Oh, that's very kind of you.
That's kind of rugged, kind of like construction looking guy, but he's got a little money because he's a poor ball player. Yeah.
So you're saying that Poway's East County?
He northeast county,
northeast county, maybe right. Ramona.
Right, that's it. Ramona Tim. We call him Ramona Tim. So
all
Saturday,
right, let's get crazy.
Let's get crazy. So Saturday, the Chihuahuas achieved their largest comeback in team history, defeating the Aviators 17-16 after rallying from a 15-1 deficit in the fourth inning. By that time, you're like, all right. I mean, it's the PCL, but come on, like really? They scored 16 unanswered runs.
Unreal.
The Aviators had a remarkable fourth inning, scoring 10 runs, the most given up in an inning by El Paso since August 30th in 2023. In Reno, surprised it's the PCL. Only was last year that this was the highest that they've given up.
And that was also in Reno.
Right. In response, the Chihuahuas had a strong seventh inning, scoring 9 runs, their highest in an inning this season, with 6 hits, 14 batters coming to the plate.
What an incredible comeback. And the win percentage odds, it definitely is one of those kind of a things.
So left fielder Tyler Nevin, son of former Padre Phil Nevin, hit a grand slam in the third innings. Right fielder Hoy Park made history with both an inside the park home run and a 3-run home run in the fourth inning, becoming the first player to hit 2 home runs in a single inning against El Paso. Both teams now have inside the park homers in the series. Previously, the Chihuahuas' largest comeback was a 9-run deficit overcome August 9th in 2019 against Round Rock. This game set a new season high for combined runs in a Chihuahuas game with 33. Nate Mondou led the team with a 3-for-5 performance, driving in a career high 6 runs. That's how we got 13 RBIs in the week, because he had 6 of them in one game. The game was the longest of the season for the Chihuahuas. Both teams had their catchers ejected after a benches clearing incident in the 8th. So both teams were like, this is bullshit for some reason. It's just an amazing game.
That's Las Vegas for you, man. Yeah. The ball just starts flying out there. I don't know what it is about that ballpark.
And it got plenty of play. I think MILB brought it up. I think Sammy Levitt tweeted something out. I saw some other national writers tweet like, what the hell's going on there?
I mean, 16 unanswered runs. So it's one thing to come back from the 15-1 deficit, but like, I would think that game would end up like 22-23 or something like that, where both teams kind of come back. They held them scoreless after that.
So Jackson Wolf and Kevin Cobbs got pounded for 15 runs. Righty Alex Japely came in and tossed 2 1/3 scoreless innings. Just like Wolfie, and Wolf's had a couple good starts this last couple starts, but for him, if that ball goes into the zone, it gets hit.
Right. So that's where people are going to be looking at box scores. They'll be looking at his ERA on the season. Like, why is it a sideways 8? It's because of that game. You go back and you take that one game out, and the rest of the body of work looks a whole lot better.
Absolutely.
So I mean, he could go out and just be lights out for the next 6 appearances, and he's still going to be working off that one bad outing.
Yeah.
And even worse for Kevin Kopps, because he only pitches an inning at a time.
Yeah, absolutely. What a fun game though, huh?
Oh my God, that's insane. That's just insanity. But that's minor league baseball. I love it.
It is.
All right. Well, so you've got plans to go up to Lake Elsinore on Saturday. I wish I could join you, but I'm taking care of the puppy. I've got to get her spayed. So I'm gonna be on doggy daddy duty. But you're gonna head up to Lake Elsinore, try to talk to a couple guys.
I'm gonna talk to Sam Whiting, and I'm gonna talk to Romeo Sanabria. Sanabria. I'm going to be bringing up the microphones. We're bringing up my phone. We're going to videotape this. I've done some tweaking with it this week. Try to get some more videos for YouTube. You guys are going to like it. I hope I do well. It should well. The mics are sick. Like, the mics are absolutely great. Fixing, kind of fitting in how we're going to look in the video and where I want to do it is yet to be determined, but we're going to have that coming up, and we'll go from there. Until then,
I'm looking forward to it.
And yes, exactly. And until then, you can find me on Twitter at SD Donovan.
I'm at Zippy_TMS. All right. See you next week.
Next week.
On my own. I don't give a